Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising books, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, as well as other fun, informative global cruise personalities. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests. If you hear about a cruise that interests you, book it at www.thejoyofacation.com or enter to win a free cruise for two. Again, www.thejoyofacation.com. We really appreciate your feedback, so leave us a text. Paul can't reply, but he may read your text on the air.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul, and this week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome Emma and Jack, creators of the YouTube channel Live a Little. As frequent listeners know, I enjoy watching cruise YouTube videos, and from time to time, I get introduced to the Joy of Cruising podcast guests that way. That's kind of how I met Emma and Jack. I say kind of because normally I just watch videos and then perhaps transfixed by someone's video style or sense of humor or comprehensiveness of their video, reach out to them. In Live a Little's case, it was a little different. I was recording an episode with Colleen McDaniel, editor-in-chief of Cruise Critic, and we got to talking about Explorer Journeys, a newcomer in the luxury sector and a big winner in the recent Cruise Critic Awards. By the end of that interview, Colleen had influenced me to move a luxury cruise to the top of my bucket list. I searched Explorer Journeys and proceeded to binge on dozens of YouTube videos, and in the process, happened upon Live a Little. After binging on Explorer Journeys, I binged on Live a Little videos, and they have a wonderful cruising life and a fun, informative video style, and I am glad they agreed to come on the Joy of Cruising podcast. The Lindsays are a family of three based out of Colorado and created Live a Little during COVID after being unable to find many YouTube channels that traveled the way they did. So they gave it a go on a cruise to Alaska, and the rest is history. Caught my eye, the focus is a lot of content around suite level cruises, but their larger goal is to highlight destinations and the overall experience. Lindsay and Jack note, we have a passion for exploring this world one adventure at a time. Whether it's cruising the high seas, discovering gems on a road trip, or exploring iconic destinations, our goal is simple: to inspire you to get out and live a little and make the most out of every journey. We don't want to look back on our life and wish we had done something. So we live by the motto, just get out and live a little and see this amazing world while you can. We know travel isn't just about crossing places off a list. It's about creating memories, trying new things, and experiencing different cultures. We've built a channel for travelers of all kinds, from seasoned explorers to those just starting out, who are looking for genuine tips, real experiences, and a bit of laughter along the way. Welcome, Emma and Jack. Live a Little to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Paul, it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So it is great to meet you both virtually. How you doing?
We're good. We're cold right now. We're about to get half a foot of snow tonight. So,
But other than that, we're good.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm cold too. You know, I'm in North Carolina, and it is uncharacteristically cold. I think the last time I looked, it was somewhere around 30, and we had a little trace of snow last night. When we get snow here, people get, or at least some people get, real excited. I don't at all. I mean, I went to college in Rochester, New York. I don't need to be reminded of snow.
Yeah.
I tried to fit a lot into that intro of you, but fill in some holes. Where you're from, your background for entering the cruise industry or the cruise vlogging industry. Where do you live now? Anything you are willing to share with our listeners.
You want to go first?
I'll go first. So I grew up just outside New York City, like in Jersey, northern New Jersey. Before all of this, I was a textile designer, so I designed patterns for fabric. We currently live in Colorado. You want to go now?
Yeah, you skipped a whole bunch of our life.
You said you designed textiles?
Yeah, I was a textile designer, so I did predominantly fabric for like home furnishing stuff.
Okay. Did you do any work with DuPont?
I know who they are, yeah.
Yeah. I used to work for DuPont when they were like the king of textiles.
Oh, okay, very cool.
So, you want me to go now?
Yeah, you go.
So, I'm a Texas boy, born and bred, but haven't lived in Texas in almost 20 years now. My background, actually, as I went to college and started my career, I'm a food scientist by trade. So, I kind of developed the stuff you see in the grocery stores on the shelves, specifically coffee. But now I work in the food industry from a supply chain perspective. But luckily, we've been able to live across the board, spent time in New York, Chicago, Michigan, now Colorado for the past 5 years. So we really love it out here.
I have something in common with you as well, Jack. I mentioned DuPont and textiles. I didn't work in the textiles part. I worked in an area called agricultural products. So, when I left, and I left DuPont years ago, but when I left, we were getting big into food science.
That's interesting. Not many people know what food science is, so it's always nice when someone else does it. But
Yeah, I'm very, very familiar.
yeah, like the only thing I'd add is a unique thing about us is we are not like stuck to one location. So we've been married 8 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and this is our fifth house we've lived in 8 years. So we moved quite a bit.
So in the intro, I mentioned a focus area for Live a Little is sweet level cruising. So for someone who can count my sweet experiences on one hand, actually on one finger, and actually it's coming up. It hasn't happened yet. That's going to be on Explorer Journeys, which I have a lot to ask you about. So I was intrigued by that. How did you get to that point? And what have been some highlights of the sweet experiences on cruise ships?
All right. So we fell into YouTube and the sweet life during COVID. So that's kind of how it started. We couldn't go anywhere. Honestly, I didn't watch YouTube until COVID hit. And we just we started watching YouTube videos, got into let's go to Alaska. And that's how we found kind of cruising, really. Because honestly, I'd not been on many beforehand. And so that's how we fell into it. And while looking for a cruise to Alaska, it was our kind of gift to ourselves for being stuck in home for 2 years. So we splurged a little bit and went into the Haven on Norwegian and got a pretty good deal because out of COVID, there were pretty good deals on it. But then we got hooked. So once you get into it, it's really hard to go back.
I'll also add that it was our first trip away from our kid too. So we're like, well, if we're gonna leave her, let's like go big or go home, kind of like let's really do it and enjoy ourselves and kind of pamper ourselves. Plus, COVID hadn't really traveled very much in a few years, so
it was my 30th birthday present, but 5 years late. Yeah. So we won't talk about that much.
Yeah, for the listeners, I'm sure most of you know, but the Haven is on Norwegian is what we call a ship within a ship, and that's a growing trend in cruising. And so for Emma and Jack, once you go ship within a ship, it's hard to go back.
100%.
Very much so.
And that jives with everything I've heard. I've had a guest. They've been on a couple times, and they're coming back on in April. They're sort of like specialists in ship within a ship, as well as small ship cruising, because a lot of the ship within a ship experiences are trying to emulate what it's like on a small ship. Which you've been on kind of a small ship on Explorer Journeys, right?
We'll be right back.
The Joy of Cruising podcast guests receive a gift sponsored by GigSky of a 3 gigabyte cruise plus land data package valued at $60. Relying on ship Wi-Fi is slow, unsecure, and sometimes not available. And at foreign ports, travelers don't want to pay their carriers high fees. GigSky provides a solution that will save them a significant amount of money. To get your own data package usable on the ship or in ports, here is my link to GigSky. https://gigsky.pxf.io/NLOXOR. This can be found in the show notes below. For a 10% discount, use the code Joy of Cruising.
Yeah, as much as like our channel started with sweets, we were watching YouTube, and there's not much in the there's a lot of content on sweets, but it doesn't come from the point of view of a young family traveling in suite class.
Okay.
And it's honestly a perfect size room and accommodations. You can basically keep your kid in one area. And that's what's really facilitated the growth of the channel, is because there's not much of the kind of like the younger families traveling the suites. So that's how we built the channel.
And also when we started it, was it now a little over 2 years ago, there really was not much content at all on suites. I'll say some of the bigger cruising YouTube channels are starting to kind of break into the suites, but when we started, there really was no content at all. Like when we did Alaska, we were trying to figure out, was it worth it to do the suites and that extra money? And so we're like, well, why don't we film it, figure it out, and see, and tell everybody what our opinion is on that.
So there you go, listeners. That's a nice little niche to carve out. I'm big on niche marketing, and you know, as you know, you don't have a lot of direct competition. There's a lot of great YouTube cruise channels. I know because I have them on the show all the time. But I think you're the first guest I've had that focuses, that a big part of your focus is on suites. So there you go, listeners. If you fit into, Emma and Jack's approximate demographic, and you're curious about traveling in suites on regular ships, by going to one of those ship within a ship areas, there's a great channel to check out. Give us some highlights of the suite life. What's the nicest suite you've been in?
Ooh, the nicest one we've been in? Well, we've been in one that we didn't stay in, and that one was definitely the nicest. We were on the Celebrity, which we were on the Beyond. We were on the Celebrity Beyond.
Oh, I saw that. You had a. Did you know them?
They happened to follow our channel,
okay.
And they approached us, and we started talking and everything. And as the trip went on, they were like, hey, if you'd like to take a room tour of our room, we'd be more than happy to let you have access to it and check it out and film it for everybody. And yeah, that room was awesome. I would definitely love to book that one.
That was the Edge Villa on Celebrity Beyond. So it's a 2-floor suite.
Yeah. I recently watched that. What's the nicest one that you personally you slept in?
Well, I'm also going to say, when we do this, we fund everything. So, there is still some form of a budget, and suites can get expensive. So we typically do the entry-level suites just so we can get in there, figure out what you get included and stuff like that. So we're usually not booking the super crazy ones.
I'm trying to think. Our nicest one is probably the 2-bedroom in the NCL's Breakaway Plus class. So we did the 2-bedroom on the
Encore,
the Norwegian Encore. And a 2-bedroom suite was great for families. That was our nicest one we've stayed in so far. Especially
with a little kid, because we were able to put her down for a nap, and we could still do stuff and turn the TV on or eat or whatever, and not be like, you have to be super quiet because she's sleeping. So just having the space in that one was probably our favorite one.
Now, most suites come correct me if I'm wrong, most suites come with, some perks, right? You can eat in certain rooms, certain dining rooms and things like. What's some of the nice perks that you've gotten being suite
So,
guests?
most of the ships now that have that ship within a ship design, which most of the major lines do now, have like a dedicated restaurant. It's a think of a specialty dining, but just for suites, and it's included. That's a major perk.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them include the premium drinks package, and if you watch our channel, you will see consistently food and drinks. We do while we're filming and working, we're still enjoying ourselves. So those are the biggest perks. And I'll say now, with hybrid work and remote work, one of the largest perks is a lot of the lines are included in the streaming Wi-Fi now
Mm-hmm.
for your suite, which is a huge savings, and it lets you stay connected. And because honestly, work never ends, but if you can stay connected, you can stream your Netflix. That's a perk that I don't think most people take into account when they're looking at the price.
Now, Jack, when you say work never ends, I meant to ask you earlier. When you are working, are you totally remote, or do you go back to an office?
No, I'm hybrid. So I have an office in Colorado that I'll work out of. I do travel a lot for work already. But I am hybrid. I'm not full-time remote.
Okay. So you've been on a lot of cruises, and from looking at your channel, it seems that you are fairly diverse in the cruise lines you choose. Contrast some of your favorite cruise lines.
Oh, this is always a tough one. We get to ask this a lot. It come out from a different point of view. If you had to ask us what's our favorite, which one would we pick out of the blue? With traveling with our daughter, we would tell you Celebrity and the Edge class ships. They're perfect ships. They've got great kids programs, and they got a great adults program, really good food, really good drink. If we're going for adults only, based on what we've been on, we haven't been on a lot of adults only.
And or just luxury, I'd say that.
Explorer Journeys was probably our best one we've ever been on. It's a completely different experience than what you typically get on a cruise line from what we've done so far. And we've done all the major mainstream lines, some of the niche ones, but none of the ultra luxury versions. This was our first kind of foray into ultra luxury, is how it felt.
Well, you see me lighting up because that's
Yeah, you're starting off real good for the suites.
that's one I want to talk to you about. You know what? I also saw. Now I didn't see a Virgin Voyages video, but I saw another. I guess you were doing a recap of 24, and you mentioned going on Virgin Voyages, which I love, but then you mentioned staying in a Rockstar suite, which is. That's bucket list for me. Talk about that.
We did that one right after Christmas and like right before New Year's, so right in between there. So that stuff hasn't come out yet. It's coming out in the next few weeks, I'd say, on our channel. But yeah, we were in Mega Rockstars, which was awesome. And
Yes.
a lot.
So what does that mean, Mega Rockstars?
So Mega Rockstar is kind of everything's included, all inclusive. So we got picked up I'll just preview what you'll see in the video.
Well, wait, before you say that, I think the biggest thing for Virgin is if you're going to do the suites, there's Rockstar and then Mega Rockstar. So Mega Rockstar is your higher up suite, not your entry level. Now you can kind of explain it.
Just some of the snippets that are included when you get to the Mega Rockstar rooms is a limo pickup at the airport to the delivery at the ship. And you get the same when you get off the ship. You get picked up in a limo, and they take you to your flight or hotel, whatever you're doing.
Oh man!
You get a full bar in your room that they replenish nonstop,
with a lot of alcohol.
And it's you get a very large room. You get a private area on the rooftop, and honestly, if you ask for anything, it's taken care of.
Yeah, and you get unlimited drinks package, which isn't really a thing on Virgin. And then you also get access to the thermal spa at like any time. You don't have to reserve it. You can kind of just show up and enjoy the thermal spa.
You feel like a rock star.
Don't you get a record player in your room?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you did. We played it a few times. Yes. You get and you can select different records if you want.
It's on the list. I'm booked on another Virgin
You can add that to the bucket
cruise,
list.
not until early 26. Maybe something will change and I can upgrade to Mega Rock Stars. How many of those do they have on a typical Virgin ship? Do you know?
Oh, I don't remember. It was not a lot.
No, it's either 12 or 16.
I was going to say I was probably between.
Yeah, from the Mega Rockstar category, there's 12 to 16, and there's about 50-ish rooms for the Rockstar level.
Okay, so I got to hit the lottery pretty quickly if I'm going to upgrade my upcoming cruise. Have you been on? I haven't seen on your channel a river cruise. Have you been on a river cruise?
So we have not. I would like to book one. I think our biggest thing is if we were to do a river cruise, we do want to take our daughter on that one. And there's just not as many river cruises that accommodate for kids, or at least for her age, because she is only 4 years old. So if they do have kids, a lot of them start at like a little bit higher, like 8 or 12. There's like one or two that are on my radar of ones to look at for future ones, but
a Christmas river cruise to the Christmas markets in Europe is definitely on the bucket list to do.
So let's go way back. I always ask guests to recollect their first cruise. When, what ship, initial impressions of cruising. So for each of you.
So I'll start out. Yeah, I'll start. I was in like 7th or 8th grade when I did my first one, and it was on a Royal cruise, a Royal Caribbean. I honestly do not remember the name of the ship. All I remember was the main dining room. They made it look like the Titanic. It was like supposed to be, I think it was a newer one when we went on it. And I really enjoyed it. I also am obsessed with food and eat a lot. So I loved the fact that I could eat like 24/7 if I wanted to. And then, way back then, they even did a midnight buffet one night, which I remember going to and thinking that was like the coolest thing ever. Like ever. The fact that I could eat food at that hour sounded amazing to me. So I was a fan, but after that one, then I hadn't really done any until like end of high school, beginning of college. I did 2 more. And then I met Jack.
And we did our first cruise together.
Well, your first.
My first cruise together we did before we were married.
So that was that was your
family.
very first. So you were an adult then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I was probably 25-ish. No, older than that.
Older.
Like 28. But we did family cruise with my family on the Carnival Jubilee. And Emma and I shared an interior room.
That was the old Carnival Jubilee.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the original Carnival Jubilee.
Yes, I trust you on that one. I cannot remember, and luckily I had a picture from way back then that I could look at it.
Yeah, because they have a new ship, I believe. Yeah, their newest ship is the Carnival Jubilee.
Okay.
That was definitely the old one.
Yeah.
But we had an interior room together, and Emma thought I would honestly hate it. I get claustrophobia. I'm not.
You like an exit.
Yes, I like an exit. I like space, but I enjoyed it greatly. And then I found out they had a drinks package, and that even made it better. And my favorite part of the ship was like I love dueling pianos. And they had the dueling pianos at night, and we spent every night there with my family just singing songs and joking around. So I really enjoyed it.
So it sounds like it wasn't something that had to grow on you. You knew you would.
No, but honestly, we took a long break between that one and when we did our next cruise was the first video on YouTube for Alaska. Oh, no, it was not. There was one right before that. But it was probably a good 10 years between cruises.
Now you go on some amazing cruises. I know that this is difficult, but share with us a few highlights, other than Explorer, of your most memorable cruises.
Okay, this is easy. I'll start this one.
Okay.
Our most memorable cruise was we took a cruise in Norway along the Norwegian coast in the middle of winter on a brand called Havila.
Okay.
And the main purpose of that, it does. You go to 32 different ports in 12 days.
Wow.
And it's
Yeah, Yeah, and we did the south to north and then north back down. So we did the full coast.
And it is probably the most unique experience we've done. It's a very small ship. It holds a max of 600 people, and of those, 450 of them are using it as a ferry, because it's actually a ferry, not a cruise ship per se. But that was amazing. We went north of the Arctic Circle, spent Christmas like close to the North Pole. It was amazing.
So that's probably the smallest ship you've been on then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, okay, I was gonna say, and then besides for that one that was like just unique, I think our next ones would be like more for destinations. So if you haven't watched our channel before, we have a lot of stuff on Alaska. Love Alaska. Love Norway. We got a lot on that too. And then we also went to Iceland, and that probably was also our next favorite, which, yeah, the Caribbean's not in there. We tend to apparently like the colder cruises and the more like scenic and just really pretty and unique destinations.
How many times have you been to Alaska?
Oh,
5? No?
something like that
5 times?
Wow.
in like 2 years.
Yes.
We went to Alaska for the first time. I guess was it last year? I guess it was 23. I say the first time, for the only time. But we vowed on the plane coming home, we vowed we were going to go
Yeah.
back. And, you know, as I kind of alluded to earlier, I hate snow and the cold weather, but I loved
It's
Alaska.
just
Yes.
beautiful. It's breathtaking.
So you've been there 5 times. What's you go on excursions a lot, or you just
Typically,
walk
no,
around?
if you actually watch our channel, you won't see many paid excursions. You'll see a couple here and there. Usually they're the cheaper ones because that's just what we budget for. Most of our things we do is we rent a car wherever we're going, and then we go and drive and do kind of our own excursion. We'll go to some.
I've seen some long trips that you guys take. I would be nervous, like about the car breaking down. I mean, sometimes it looks really remote. And
Yes.
Yeah,
but
but you got to get out and live a little. You
yeah,
gotta, you
beautiful,
got one life to live. You got to enjoy it and do it while you can. And then if it breaks down, you figure it out from there.
beautiful scenery. So what has been your favorite thing to do in Alaska?
Oh, this is tough. It
Ah.
actually is not the cruise. So we did our first time to Alaska. We did the cruise up the coast, and you only see a very small snippet of Alaska. You see basically the bottom tail, for lack of a better term. We then flew back up to Anchorage and did a road trip around the Kenai Peninsula, which is kind of the western, southwestern side of Alaska, and visiting the areas where the cruise lines don't go to kind of gave you a different viewpoint on Alaska, and you saw so much more scenery and wildlife and interaction. That was probably the highlight, our most favorite thing.
Now, on any of those trips, do you ever see anything like bears or?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. We were about on that trip I was just referring to. We were doing a hike to a glacier, and we were about 10 feet from a mama bear and her cub.
Oh, wow.
So we got a quick picture and moved along because we live in Colorado. We know you don't hang around the bears because they're not.
Especially not a mama bear. And especially on that one too, when we were driving around on our own, we saw a bunch of moose. That was like my one thing I wanted to see. And I was going to be super excited if we saw 1 or 2. I think we ended at like 10 moose in like a week. So we've definitely seen a good amount of wildlife when we have done Alaska.
Still talking about the memorable cruises. What about the Caribbean? Any warm weather
I mean, we
great
love St. Thomas.
experiences?
Our only problem is sometimes you go to the ports and they're all like the same. The one thing we liked about, like, if you go to Norway or Iceland or Alaska, well, Alaska is turning out to be not as much, but like the Norwegian, like every town is different. A lot of the ports now in the Caribbean are kind of simplified. So we like the newer ports that are offered that aren't necessarily as kind of tourist central with like the stores that are in every single town, like the more local environment.
How about the Mediterranean? Have you done that yet?
No, that's on the list.
That's on the list. I've done a little bit like on my own before YouTube and everything, not cruise wise, just like traveling on my own, but it's on the list for sure. I'd also say with the Caribbean too, if I mean nobody can see us right now, but Jack is a ginger and the sun doesn't love him very much. So the Caribbean, we have like we don't really sit on the beach and like sunbathe
You know,
because
now
he'll turn into a
now I
lobster.
think I remember you saying that on one of your videos.
Probably.
Yep. So I found out about you, as I mentioned in the intro. I found out about you when I started researching Explorer Journeys. Give us the glorious details of what we can expect.
Well, let me start, and then you
I
can
want
get
to
into
join
stuff.
him. I want to go back.
Yeah. Okay. So, I will put it like this: if here's to start your cruise. When you arrive at the port, on most cruise lines, you go, you drop your bag off, you have your luggage tags already attached. They could fall off. You're going to arrive to Explore Journeys, and they're going to give you a customized luggage tag and put it in a nice plastic sleeve for you, designed for their things. Put it on your suitcase, and you're going to get on the ship. So luxury starts there. I know that's like a little thing, but to me, it was like the start of the whole cruise.
And then to add on to that too is like usually if you're in just a balcony cabin, you wait and wait and wait until it's like your turn to go on. You may wait a little bit with Explorer, but then a staff member will come and take you, just you, like you and your wife, and sign you in and everything. And it's more personalized and a little bit more fancy, for lack of a better term.
Yep. But like you're going to be, as soon as you board, your every whim that you have will basically be taken care of. All of the food is included. It's only specialty restaurants. I'll caveat, there is one restaurant that does cost more. It's kind of a taster menu. It's not necessary, but there's
It's good, but I wouldn't say
everything is included. All your drinks are included. The spa is included. Like it's going to be relaxation to a T. You will not have to worry about a thing.
And the ratio to staff to guests is almost 1-for-1. So it's noticeable. Like you're never waiting around if you want a coffee or a drink or something. There's always like kind of somebody there to immediately help you.
Yep. Everyone on the ship.
Now I am sure, or at least typically, when we board a cruise, after if we can get into our room, after we check out our cabin, our next stop is the buffet.
I was gonna say.
I know that buffet is sort of a misnomer when you're talking about Explorer Journeys.
That is true. But definitely go. That you picked the right person.
Emma, I'm going to ask you to talk about the buffet because your facial expressions
I can eat.
on that day. First of all, I said, "How much is she going to eat?" Because you were knocking out course after course after course. But tell us about the buffet and why we shouldn't even call it a buffet.
So anybody that hasn't seen that episode and what he's referring to is we got on and went straight to the buffet. I think I ate like 3 or 4 different meals. I started with sushi, then I got a bowl of pasta, then I did like I think it was Indian or something that was more buffet like. But the sushi, they make it right then and there and make you a plate. Like if you wanted to try all of them, you can. You don't need to just get one roll of sushi. The pasta is made to order, like down to which sauce you want or which kind of pasta you want. It is hands down the best food I have had on a ship, without a doubt. Like there is no comparison.
In the buffet.
In the buffet, yes. But like without a doubt, best food ever. And in that episode, we literally ate, and I was like, "Okay, can you go book another one? Like, I'm ready to get back on this ship. Like, we've been on for an hour, and I don't want to leave." Like,
so differentiate that buffet from what you typically see on cruise ships.
I'm going to put it in very simple terms to show the drastic difference between the two. It is, consider mainline cruise ship buffet is kind of Golden Corral. Just to be blunt.
Okay.
This cruise ship buffet was like going to eat at Del Frisco Steakhouse at the buffet. So that is the night and day variation between the two, just to put it in simple terms.
And you could have things made to order,
Yes.
not only at lunch, but at dinner. Do they do breakfast at
Yes,
the buffet?
they
Yes,
do
they do
breakfast
breakfast
as
too.
well. I would
Okay.
say also like 90% of it, someone is serving you at the buffet too. Like you're not picking up the spoon and scooping it up yourself. Like there's somebody behind the counter helping you. There's nowhere to grab your silverware. You sit down, they bring you your silverware. It's just another level of elegance and deliciousness.
And how much does the menu vary at the different times of the day? Clearly, I'm sure breakfast is breakfast, but is there much difference between lunch and
Yeah.
dinner?
Lunch and dinner do differ. The one thing I will caveat, Explorer is a unique kind of cruise line, is they don't stay static in one area. And so our view is based on what they were serving on the American coast where we sailed. Every single location they go to, they do customized menus
Oh,
based on what they can source locally from that
okay,
region.
okay.
So all of their wines, all of their fish, a lot of their fruits and vegetables are locally sourced to help the local communities where they're sailing.
But I do think to add to that, they do kind of keep it the same. Like there's still going to be the sushi bar, there's still going to be the pasta bar, but it just may be different depending on what's in those items
But
or the pizza or stuff like
yeah,
that.
you can get a burger and fries. If you want a burger and fries, they do still offer a burger and fries. It's just a little upscale burger.
Yeah, and I'll say the buffet between like lunches, let's just say, like what you had on the first day, let's say you did the pasta, they'll have different options the next day on pasta, whether it's different shaped pasta or flavors, or the like a ravioli filling is completely different, or some different sauces. So it's not necessarily the same exact thing every single day. Breakfast, I'd say, is pretty close to the same thing, but for lunch and dinner, there is a bit of a variation.
You think everyone can tell who the food person is in this relationship?
Now you mentioned pizza. Have you all been on MSC?
Yes.
I don't know what you thought, but my opinion is MSC has the best pizza at sea.
Agree.
Is this the same pizza that they have on Explorer?
I would say it's more crafty. So like the MSC pizza was like a true kind of pizza, like a New York style pizza.
It's more wood fired, but yeah.
Wood fired. This is on Explorer, it was more kind of like
You ate it more than I did.
it was smaller port. It's not a giant pizza. They're more like small and customizable. The dough, I think, is very similar. I think they use probably the similar dough. The toppings are different, but it was just as good.
I would say it was just as good as MSC's pizza, but I would say the biggest difference is that MSC pizza, they have their I don't remember exactly how many, but let's say they have 4 different pizzas. Where Explorer, you have a lot of different options on what comes out of that pizza.
Okay. Now,
but I'd say the quality is similar.
so the dining room setup or the dining setup is similar for the listeners who have been on Virgin Voyages. You know, they're all high-end experiences. They're all what would be specialty restaurants on other cruise lines, but they are they are included. So did you try all of them?
Yes.
Yes, we tried every single one of them. Plus the actual specialty one. They're all, it's a different level. They're restaurants, if they were on land, that Emma and I would have on our list of like a date night to go to kind of restaurant. Every single one of them
Okay.
was,
Very good.
yes. It surpassed most of the, if not all of the specialty restaurants we've ever eaten on a ship, each one of them.
hmm Say a little bit about each.
So I'll do the ones I can remember.
I was going to say, if you like Asian food, definitely do Sakura because they had fantastic. Like we went back there like 2 or 3 times actually for lunch and or dinner.
Mhm.
That one was probably my favorite, but then you can go on some of the others.
Have you been on Holland
We have
America?
not.
No, we're trying to actually go back to Alaska this year for number 6, and we're looking at Holland.
We got a few.
Okay. I only bring that up because I had been hearing a lot about they have a Pan Asian restaurant called Tamarind.
Mhm.
So I just went on my first Holland America cruise, and we did Tamarind. So I was going to ask you to compare Sakura to Tamarind.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't wait on that one.
Sorry.
But so you have Sakura, which is it's beautiful, visually beautiful too. There's like a giant like a cherry blossom that goes across the room. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the
Mm-hmm.
steakhouse, which is they dry age the meat on the ship, so it's all very fresh. It's delicious. Then you have the Mediterranean one,
Mhm.
which
That one was delicious too. All
yeah,
Mediterranean food.
and then you have a traditional French restaurant, which is of the four is probably our least favorite, but it was still delicious.
Yeah, like I would definitely eat there again, but if we had to pick one to skip, that probably would be personally our one to skip. And then was there any other ones? I think that's all of them.
Yeah, I think that was it.
And then there's Anthology, which is the extra fee. That's the only thing on the ship that's extra. And we did do that. It was delicious and worth it, but it is an experience and it takes several hours. And my biggest complaint with that one is that everywhere on the ship, all of your drinks are included, besides for Anthology. And they won't do a glass of wine. It has to be a whole bottle of wine if you wanted wine.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird one.
Yes.
So are there any upcharges in any of the other than Anthology? Are there any upcharges in any of the other restaurants?
I think there in the steakhouse there was like one or two additional steaks you could get, but not like I don't see the need to order them at all based on that. And then in Sakura there was not.
I think maybe the steakhouse was the only one. There may have been one or two things that was additional cost. The only other thing that I would say was additional was the like higher end alcohol.
Yeah, like if you were ordering like Dom Perignon's not included, but
Okay.
they do have like a champagne.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I know I'm kind of probably spending an inordinate amount of time on food, so you kind of know where my mindset
No.
is. So how did you handle breakfasts and lunches in the restaurants?
So I will say the first breakfast we did go and do the sit down breakfast, and then when we were on, it was in the French restaurant. It didn't matter where breakfast was; it was the same menu.
Okay.
And then we quickly realized that the buffet actually had virtually the exact same things as the sit down. So the rest of the trip, we kind of opted for that just because I like to eat, if you haven't figured that out yet. And so I would eat a lot of breakfast, and Jack would have like an orange juice and like maybe one other small little thing to eat. And it was just a little faster in that sense that we weren't sitting down waiting for me to be served breakfast, basically, and him sit there with a cup of coffee.
And then which were the restaurants serve lunch? Did they all serve lunch or?
I'm trying to think.
I don't remember if they all served lunch. Sakura definitely served lunch because we would go there for lunch. The buffet, obviously. I don't know about the other two.
I think the French and the Mediterranean one did, but I think it just depended on the day. So some days it was open, some days it wasn't. And you kind of just had to figure that out based on the app. But
even if they were closed, those like some other cruise lines, if those main restaurants, the sit down restaurants are closed, that buffet is crazy packed. It never felt packed anywhere we went.
So that listeners don't think that all I care about is food. Talk about your cabin.
The cabin. Okay, I would say that if anybody has ever been on MSC in the yacht club, the entry level ones especially are very similar layout. Maybe a little bit bigger, but otherwise the layout is almost identical. Where you kind of walk in, you have a bed, a little seating area, bigger balcony than a typical balcony room. And then once you head towards the bathroom, there's a little like dressing area. And then my favorite thing was there was a Dyson hairdryer, which for women is amazing. And that was fun to use. And then the bathroom was nice. I would say compared to other suites though, it was nothing super memorable. Like it was just a nice bathroom.
Yep. The rooms are about 25 to 30% larger than your typical balcony stateroom. You can fill the space. You have a lot more included in the room. The mini bar is included, fully stocked. You've got a nice coffee setup because it is still an Italian cruise line, so they do have really good coffee in the room. Buffet or the room service is included, and then you have a bunch of movies and shows and interactive TV if you stayed in your room to watch that. So overall, it was a nice room. It wasn't the
We did the cheapest room that you could get to get in. I will say though, when we were on, we did have the opportunity to see all of the other rooms besides for the like biggest one because somebody was in that and there's only one of those. And some of the other like more expensive rooms were definitely very nice and very spacious and had hot tubs on the balcony, showers on the balcony, and I mean there were some really really nice rooms.
So what was your itinerary on Explorer?
So we left out of LA. So I'll step back 1 second. So we like look for budget travel. So we'll travel in off season, we'll travel in the shoulders, and we'll like travel last minute to see if we can find a deal. We found one where they were
Now, budget travel, you've mentioned Beyond, you've mentioned Explorer, you've mentioned like my favorite ships, and you always do suite level. Don't sound like budget travelers to me.
Well, I'll caveat it. Budget suite life is the best way to describe it. So we try not to. Yes, I'll just say budget suite life. You're fair on that one. But we traveled from LA up to Vancouver. It stopped an overnight in San Francisco. Stopped in Astoria, Oregon, which was a really cool port where they filmed Goonies. That's where the Goonies house is. And then an overnight in Vancouver before we got off. So it was a 5-night cruise, basically a reposition for a trip they were taking to Hawaii.
Did you take any of the Explorer excursions?
No.
And the amount of times we get asked this is incredible. People ask us all the time on those videos, like, what are the excursions like? And honestly, I have no idea.
So I will also add to that, because I looked into it probably a little more than Jack did, is the trip we took, it wasn't a trip that they were redoing a bunch of times. So they had a few excursions, but like there was nothing for Astoria. There was a few for San Francisco. And then there was like 1 or 2 in Vancouver that you could pick from. So also at this point, Explorer was only 8 or 9 months old when we went on it. So they really, honestly, when we did it, didn't have too many options of excursions. And we also tend to just do our own thing most of the time anyway. So unfortunately, we did not try any of their excursions.
Now, one unique thing about Explorer is while they do offer excursions, we don't have a lot of knowledge about them. They do offer a unique thing that I haven't seen fully before, but they'll do customized private excursions that you meet with their excursion team, and they can plan out a customized one for your family, or if you have a group of people, and you have your customized itinerary that they can book for you, basically as like a travel agent.
I've seen those in their excursion offerings, and they are priced accordingly.
Yes.
I won't be doing that. What was available to you on Sea Days? And then what did you particularly like to do, or did you just chill out?
So
I will say it's a more relaxed cruise than some of the other bigger lines that people might be more used to.
Yes, you're not going to be playing bingo. You're not going to be doing kind of trivia a lot. It is a very kind of, they'll be having like a piano or a jazz band playing kind of music in the front kind of area. All of the bars, the terraces will be open. There's probably 6 different pools to sit through. So, and they're multiple levels. So on the back of the ship, there's 3 pools, 2 to 3 pools on different levels that you can sit and just relax on. We did shopping. The shopping, we did very limited shopping because the shopping on the ship is not cheap. It is like a boutique-y. There's a Rolex store on Explorer 1.
It's the only Rolex at sea, and you can also buy a Rolex and take it off physically with you.
Yes. If you're into buying Rolex, I'm not into buying a Rolex, but if you wanted to.
So did they had some things that were affordable?
Like 3 things.
So here's a little sneaky thing that they don't show off. So the main rooms where they have the stores, it'll be all the expensive stuff. If you ask to see kind of like if you wanted to take home an Explorer t-shirt, they have cheaper stuff, but it's behind the counter, and you just have to ask, can I see the other stuff? Yes.
That was kind of out, but it was more like I think our bigger thing was if you like on a normal cruise, there's usually the section where like if you forgot your toothbrush or toothpaste or things like that, you don't see that anywhere. So we had asked, we're like, if we had forgotten something, is there a way we can get it? That they keep completely hidden, but they do have it if you need it.
Yep.
What did you do in the evenings?
A lot of eating.
Oh yeah.
So
Besides
in the Explorer, they have like what most ships would like have like as their grand atrium. It's this beautifully designed atrium with a big central bar. Everyone usually hangs out there, has a cocktail. The quote unquote cruise director is not his title on this ship, but he hangs out there. All of the singers hang out there before their show. And then in the theater, which is not a theater, it's more kind of a jazz lounge, kind of a cocktail lounge feel. They do a performance every night. It's not a get up and dance kind of performance necessarily, but it's you sit there, listen to music, singers. It's very nice, very relaxing. And they rotate the singers every few months.
And then after that, you'd go to the casino, which is very, very small.
Yes, if you're a gambler, this casino is very tiny.
I'm actually intrigued by the casino because we're not big casino people, but we go to the casinos
Yep.
all the time for entertainment. You know, I kind of like the fact that this casino doesn't appear to be very busy. And there are some things I'd like to try in the casino, but I'm too embarrassed, to try it like as a newbie with a whole bunch of people looking at me and pressure on me to do the right thing. So I'm kind of intrigued to try that casino.
Yeah, it was fun.
To try a table game or something like that. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about the future. What do you have booked?
Oh, so we're going to classify 2025 as the year of epic things. So we have Mega Rockstar from Virgin Voyages.
You mean 24 wasn't epic?
Not compared to what we have booked.
Not compared to what we have booked. We may have less booked, but this is a kind of an epic year. So we have Virgin Voyages Mega Rockstar coming out in the next few weeks, starting off the year with an epic thing. We then
what ship?
we were on the Valiant Lady.
Okay.
And then we have our first trip for the year is in April on the Aqua.
Which is NCL.
NCL, or Norwegian's new ship, the Aqua. We will be in the Haven in an epic
really
room.
Nice room is all I'm about to say.
Epic room that we booked it like the day it came out. So we got a pretty good deal on it. It's a new room for this style ship. So it'll be fun to see that content on the new ships. And
now, have you been on NCL in that class? Have you been on the Prima or the Viva?
Yeah, we did the Prima to Iceland last year. It is significant. It's probably not our favorite style ship that Norwegian has, but it was not. They're not designed for cold weather climates. That's was what our opinion was, and so the Prima to Iceland was kind of not the best ship for that tour.
Okay.
But the Aqua, we're looking forward to it. It's in the Caribbean. It's with my family. It's kind of a gift to them.
Yeah.
So we'll be there. But like 2 weeks later, we get on the Royals Utopia of the Seas?
Yes.
Utopia of the Seas. And let's just say we're in a class for the first time ever. We'll have a Genie, which is the star class on Royal.
And we're in a pretty cool room.
And we're in a really cool room.
That's not the room. That's not the room where your daughter will be able to slide down the slide, will she?
We can neither confirm or deny that is the room. We like to keep a little suspense.
So what's the date of that one?
May.
It's the beginning of May.
Beginning of May.
I may have to pencil you in for a bonus episode.
We're a bit excited on that one. And then the end of the year, what we have booked now is Celebrity has an expedition ship that does the Galapagos Islands. And so in November, we're booked to go on that ship and do the Galapagos Islands. I'm pretty excited about that one.
Wow. Yeah, that is a pretty epic 2025. Let's go ahead and pencil you in for after Galapagos because I want to hear about each one of those. But Galapagos.
Yeah.
When I ask people what's on their bucket list, Galapagos is maybe the highest, the one that's mentioned most. So we'll have you back. At the end
Sounds good.
towards the end of the year. Speaking of bucket lists, what is on your bucket list?
So I turned 40 in
Soon.
a little over a year. And my bucket list trip that I want to do when I'm 40 is go to Antarctica. So that is
There you go.
coming in the next 2 years. And then Emma's for her 40th bucket list.
Then my bucket list for 40, which is still a little bit of ways away, not too far though, is an African safari. Just always wanted to do that, thought it'd be amazing, just really, really cool.
So a land trip or a cruise? Because I always thought, because that's on my bucket list too, is an African safari. But I always thought to do that, you had to go there on a land trip. And then I spoke to someone who actually did I can't remember, I think it was a 63 or 73-day cruise.
Whew.
And they had time to do an excursion that included a safari. So when you go, how are you planning to do that?
I don't think we have
Or you don't know?
63 days to do one. So I was thinking more just on land, just so we could really kind of see a lot of the wildlife and the safari area, like on our own, kind of.
Yeah. So we on the channel we mix up. So a lot of travel we see is cruising content. We also did a road trip across the US 2 years ago for the entire summer in our RV. And so you'll see a mix of content there. But
Yeah.
other than those two epic ones, we got Japan and Singapore are hopefully soon. And then my family immigrated from England to the US on a transatlantic ship. And so I've always wanted to take the Queen Mary from New York back to London and do kind of the reverse trip. So that's on the bucket list.
Any upcoming plans for the channel? How can my listeners follow Live a Little on social media?
So I'll tell you how you can follow us. YouTube, Live a Little is how you'd find us. If for some reason that doesn't come up, just type in Alaska after it, and usually it's the first thing that pops up. And then the next thing would be on Instagram, and we are Lindsay's Live a Little, all one word. Lindsay has an A instead of an E. I would say those are the most ones we post on the most on those two.
So Instagram will be real time, so you'll see what we're doing at any given time. YouTube is usually a couple months behind. Just from editing perspective, it takes a little while to get the videos out, or Emma's editing. But if you're looking for upcoming plans, we talked about this year's just the year about epic locations, epic rooms. And honestly, we'd never know exactly what we're going to do. One of our Alaska trips, we booked 48 hours before we were going to do it. So who knows? If we see a good deal, we'll go do it.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, we usually ask our guests some light or even fun cruise questions. So the first question, and this helps me immensely. I've tried so many things as a result of answers to this question. For each of you, what's your favorite cruise drink and cruise food?
I'll start off, and I'm going to start with food, obviously. Favorite cruise food was definitely the sushi and the pasta on Explora. Hands down, the best. And then my favorite drink is an espresso martini, which for some reason I only ever have them on cruises. I never get them when we're just around on land. But those would be my two.
Yeah, and then mine is they're both on the Norwegian's Haven Suites. They make a smoked old fashioned where they smoke the drink in front of you and you get to pick your choice of wood. It's a really cool experience, really good drink. And then honestly,
oh wow,
they make the best salad at sea, which sounds ridiculous that I'm saying this. They make this what's called a green goddess salad, and it is amazing. I would eat it every day if I could.
You do when we're on NCL.
Oh, I've been on NCL several times. I have to keep that in mind for the next time I get on NCL. Green goddess salad. Okay. Next question. What does Emma and Jack do in their me time?
So I'll take this one. Well, we are parents to a 4-year-old, so there's not that much me time. But when we do have it, it's usually kind of just winding down with a good TV show. Or on the weekends, we like to check out new breweries or restaurants in the area or go on a little hike. And then me personally, I've kind of recently picked up gardening a little bit. So that's kind of been my little like fun hobby. And Jack?
I'm a
Before you
I'm a-
answer, Jack,
Go ahead.
you mentioned your 4-year-old. How does she like cruising? So I know she's in a lot
She
of
loves
on a
it.
lot of your cruises. How does she like it?
She loves it. She asks all the time when we're going on the next one, sometimes cries when we're getting off of it because she doesn't want to leave. She loves it. She loves to go out, explore, see new things, meet new people. She's a little ball of energy who will talk to anybody.
Now, does she get salty when you go on a cruise on your own, like Virgin Voyages?
A little, but we tend to leave her with grandparents, so she knows she's going to have a lot of fun with them, and she's got a plus to it too when we go usually. So
Oh, okay. All right, Jack, I interrupted. What do you do in your me time?
Mine's not as fun as Emma's. I'm a long distance runner, so I do my quiet time, my me time is long runs in the morning to get away. Luckily, living in Colorado, I get to run in the mountains, so it's just pretty.
Are you a marathoner?
I am signed up for my first marathon this year, so knock on wood, I get it completed. But I've done several kind of in between half marathon and marathons on my own, so I think I can do it. So we'll see. Probably when we come on after the Galapagos, I'll be able to tell you if I completed it or not.
There you go. Okay. Next question. What's your most wonderful or memorable or funniest or even most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
well, I'll take this one.
Well, first of all, we came up with two. We couldn't settle on one, so we got a funny one and a memorable one.
There you go.
So our funny one is we were on a cruise with Celebrity, and it was in February, like the beginning of February. And we come back to our room, and there's balloons and cake and a sign that says happy birthday. Both of our birthdays were in April, so we were really confused by why that was happening. But I mean, it was fun. It's kind of a weird one. And then memorable, you want to take the memorable one?
In addition to the decorations, were there any goodies like champagne and chocolate-covered
There was
strawberries?
strawberries, a cake. I think there may have been a bottle of champagne too.
It was just funny because we were like, I guess it's our birthday. So in the video we released, you see us singing happy birthday to ourselves.
So you did eat all of the goodies. Good.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
It was there. I wasn't going to waste it. The most memorable, though, is we were on the Norwegian Encore sailing.
No. We were doing our
Oh,
Norway.
yes. Sorry. I completely read that wrong. Our most memorable was when we did the crazy Havila ship up the coast of Norway. We got there. We're ready to board. The night before we were boarding, we're at the hotel at dinner eating, and we get an email saying, oh, the ship can't make it in because there's 90-foot waves. And so you need to get to this other city. That other city was a flight away. So we had.
Well, they gave you an option. They said that they would bus you to that, but it was at night and it was about a 14-hour bus ride
With a 4-year-old.
with a 3-year-old at the time.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I just got her on this time zone, and I don't want to sit on a bus for 14 hours with a 3-year-old who's, bound to have a meltdown, rightfully so, for that long in the middle of the night.
So we had 24 hours to figure out how to get from Bergen, Norway to Trondheim, Norway, booking last minute flights, packing up, finding hotels. That was probably our most memorable because it was kind of a fun experience when we look back on it.
It was a little hectic when it happened, and then to add to that too is we got there and we had gotten a hotel room for the night, and then we got an email being like, whenever you get up here, you're more than welcome to board the ship. So we're like, okay, well, let's get on the ship. So we head over to the ship, and we climb up this big set of stairs, and I open the door, and the guy's like, oh, are you here just to like take a peek at what the ship looks like? We're like, no, check in. Like they said we could come on. He's like, oh, okay, totally fine. Well, we get on board, and we were the only people besides for staff on the ship
For several hours.
for several hours. So that was super amusing as well and very memorable, to have the entire ship to ourselves, basically.
Did you have to wait to eat?
Nope. They said they would fire up the kitchen and we could order whatever we wanted.
Good. Because I know that would have been important at that particular time. Okay, the last question, and I call this an oddball question, and it's oddball only in that it doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with cruising. So first of all, you have a large following, so welcome to the many Live a Little fans and friends. We hope that you have enjoyed what you've heard at the Joy Cruising Podcast, and we'll come back for future episodes. Jack and Emma, share one thing that my listeners and your fans and friends don't know about each of you.
Okay, mine's a really weird one.
Maybe we should do mine first because
Yeah.
yours is epic.
Okay, do yours.
So I have a literal phobia of fruit and nuts in a salad. So if there are fruits and nuts in a salad, or you have fruits or nuts in kind of like a side that is warmed up, I can't eat it. I will just sit there in silence and
And then I'll eat it.
yep, toss it aside. And that's just, I have no idea where it came from, but it's a literal phobia. It kind of makes me sick to my stomach when I see it.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
And then mine is possibly weirder than that. That's pretty weird. I actually have no sense of smell, but I can taste, and no, it is not due to COVID. I've had it my entire life.
Wow. No sense of smell.
Yep.
I can't even begin to like empathize. I mean, I'm trying to like, I'll
It's good
have
and bad.
to think about
Yes.
it after I get off the call. What that might feel like. I mean, I don't want to make you sound weird or anything, but
No, you're good. I am weird. It's okay.
but I remember when that was a symptom of COVID. You know, I got COVID eventually, but I didn't lose my sense of smell. But when I heard that was a symptom of COVID, that's what I dreaded most.
Hmm.
You know, I felt like somehow that would be like being in prison. You know,
Yeah, I will
that's
say
kind of
with the COVID one, when you lost your sense of smell, you lost a lot of your sense of taste as well, because they are correlated. That's why I said I can taste, because that's always everybody's first question, is if I can like taste and differentiate between different things. And I mean, I know no different. I've been like this forever. So like it's definitely weird, and it definitely has its pluses and minuses for sure. But I can at least taste, and I think that's more important, honestly.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Emma and Jack, it has been great talking to you. You know, I decided early on in this conversation I wanted you to come back. I want you to come back if you will be back.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on the Joy of Cruising Podcast. All the best to you and your channel in your future endeavors. I'll think about you guys when I'm on Explorer, because you know you had a lot to do with me deciding to book Explorer.
Well, I'm glad.
Well,
I hope you have an amazing time, and we'd love to hear.
So as I like to say, we'll see you on the ocean.
See you on the ocean. Thanks for having us.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99, can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.